An additional step, as an additional step, an amendment is being proposed to the Reserve Bank of India Act to enable the issuance of electoral bonds in accordance with a scheme that the Government of India would frame in this regard.
Electoral bond
Under this scheme,
RBI আইনে
a donor
সংশোধন করে
could purchase bonds from authorized banks against checks and digital payment only. These would be redeemable only in the designated account of a registered political party. These bonds will be redeemable within a prescribed time from the issuance of the bond.
নির্দিষ্ট সময় পরে বন্ড ভাঙানো যাবে কোন রাজনৈতিক দলের অনুকূলে।
Needless to say, the existing amendments to political parties from payment of income tax would be available only subject to the fulfillment of the above conditions. This reform will bring greater transparency and accountability in the political funding while preventing future
রাজনৈতিক দলের অনুদানের ক্ষেত্রে অনেক স্বচ্ছতার কথা প্রকাশ পেল।
Ease of doing business. As an anti-avoidance measure, the provision of domestic transfer pricing in respect of related entities was brought in by the Finance Act 2012. Since the number of entities being covered under the domestic pricing has gone up substantially, necessitated a longer scrutiny, which causes hardship to domestic companies. In order to reduce the compliance burden due to the domestic transfer pricing provision, I propose to restrict the scope of domestic transfer pricing only if one of the entities involved is a related party transaction enjoying specified profit-linked deduction. I propose to increase the threshold limit for audit of business entities who opt for presumptive income scheme from 1 crore to 2 crores. Similarly, the threshold for maintenance of books of individuals and HUF is being increased from a turnover of rupees 10 lakhs to 25 lakhs or income from 1.2 lakhs to 2.5 lakhs. In 2012, the Income Tax Act was amended to provide for taxation of those transactions for transfer of shares or interests in foreign entity deriving its value substantially from Indian assets. Apprehensions have been raised about some difficulties which are arising because of the provisions in the case of transfer of stake of investors of India-based funds located abroad but investing in India-based companies. In order to remove difficulties, I propose to exempt foreign portfolio investors category 1 and 2 from indirect transfer provisions. I also propose to issue a clarification that indirect transfer provision shall not apply in the case of redemption of shares or interests outside India as a result or arising out of the redemption of sale or investment in India, which is chargeable to a tax in India. As of today, a TDS of 5% is deducted from the commission payable to individual insurance agents, even if their income of some of them is well below the taxable limit. I propose to exempt them from the requirement of TDS, subject to the filing of their filing a self-declaration that their income is below taxable limits. Last year, I had announced a new scheme for presumptive taxation of professionals with a receipt of 50 lakh per annum. In respect of such assessees, they are being given the benefit in terms of payment of advance tax in one installment instead of 4. In order to allow people to claim refund of, if expeditiously, the time period of revising a tax return is being reduced to 12 months from the completion of the financial year at par with the time period of filing the return. At the same time, completion of scrutiny assessment is being compressed further from 21 months to 18 months for the assessment year 18-19 and 12 months for the assessment year 19-20. I now come to an important change in the personal income tax. While the government is trying to bring within its tax net more people who are evading taxes, The present burden of taxation is mainly on the taxpayer and the salaried employees who are showing their income correctly. Therefore, post-demonetization, there is a legitimate expectation of this class of people to reduce their burden of taxation. Also, an argument
মধ্যবিত্ত
is
মানুষ
made
এবং
that if nominal rate
স্যালারিড
of
পার্সন
taxation
তাদের
is kept at
ওপরই
a lower
করের বোঝাটা
slab,
বেশি,
more people will prefer to come within the tax rate.
বেশি মানুষকে করের আওতায় আনা এবং এই মানুষদের সুযোগ করে দেওয়া।
To reduce the existing rate of taxation for individual assessees between the income 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs to 5% instead of the present rate of 10%.
5% করা হলো, 2.5 লক্ষ থেকে 5 লক্ষ টাকা আয় 10%-এর পরিবর্তে
Of all persons below rupees 5 lakhs income either to zero with a rebate or 50% of their existing liability. In order not to have any duplication of benefit, the existing benefit of rebate available to the same group of beneficiaries being reduced to 2,500 available only if to the assessees with income up to 3.5 lakhs. The combined effect of both these measures will mean that there would be a zero tax liability for a person getting income up to 3 lakh rupees and a tax liability of only 2,500 for people with an income of 3 to 3.5 lakhs. If limit of rupees 1.5 lakhs under section 80C investment is used fully, tax would be zero for people with an income up to rupees 4.5 lakhs. While taxation liability of people with income up to 5 lakhs is being reduced to half, all other categories of taxpayers in the subsequent brackets will also get a uniform benefit of 12,500 per person. The total amount of tax foregone on this account of measure is therefore 15,500 crores. In order to make good some loss of revenue on account of this relief, I propose to levy a surcharge of 10% of tax payable on this category of individual whose annual taxable income is between 50 lakhs and 1 crore. The existing surcharge of 15% on people earning more than 1 crore will continue. This is likely to give me an additional revenue of rupees 2,700 crores. In order to expand the tax net, I plan to have a simple one-page form to be filed as an income tax return in the category of income individuals having a taxable income up to rupees 5 lakh other than business income.
Income tax
Also, a person of this
file
category
করার
who
ব্যবস্থা করা
files an
হবে।
income tax return for the first time would not be subject to any scrutiny for the first year unless there is some specific information available with the department with regard to any high-value transaction. I appeal to all citizens of India to contribute to national building by making a small payment of 5% of tax if their income falls in the lowest slab of 2.5% 2 lakhs to rupees 5 lakhs. Some other important amendments in the tax laws which are not covered in my speech are given in Annexure 3 to this budget. There has been a substantial progress towards ushering the GST by far the biggest tax reform since independence. Since the enactment of the Constitution 101st Amendment Act 2016, the preparatory work of the path-breaking reform has been a top priority for the government. In this context, several teams of officers, both of the state and the Central Board of Excise and Customs, have been working tirelessly to give finishing touches to the model GST law and the rules and other details. Government on its past has promptly given effect to various provisions of the Constitution Amendment, including constitution of the GST Council. Since then, the GST Council has had 9 meetings to discuss the various issues relating to the GST, including the broad contours of the GST tax rate, threshold exemption, and parameters for the composition of details of compensation to the states due to implementation of the GST, examination of the draft model GST law, draft IGST law, and the compensation law and the administrative mechanism for the GST. It is my privilege to inform the August House that the GST Council has finalized its recommendation on almost all issues based on consensus and after a spirited debate and discussion. The preparedness of the IT system of the GST is also on schedule. The extensive reach-out effort to the trade and industry will start on the 1st of April 2017 to make them aware of the new taxation system. Through the Central Board of Excise and Customs, shall continue to strive to achieve the goal of implementation of the GST as per schedule without compromising the spirit of cooperative federalism.